Hi, this is Jerry Mona with Boater Input. In a recent video, I talked about the best places to shop online to find the routine maintenance items that you need for your Mercury Outboard or MerCruiser Sterndrive engine. And in that video, I talked about the importance of identifying your part numbers before you start to do your online shopping. Now, if you're someone who likes to get your supplies from a local dealer, well, this information really doesn't pertain to you because you don't need to bother with the part numbers. The dealers will look that up for you. But if you prefer to shop online, either because you don't have a dealer nearby, or you want to save a few bucks, or you just prefer that online shopping convenience, you may find that identifying the correct part numbers can be very time consuming and frustrating. So in today's video, I'm going to show you the process that I use to identify the correct part numbers for things like oil filters, fuel filters, spark plugs, anodes, impellers, those kinds of things, the things that you need to change periodically. And in a separate video, I'll also touch upon how to select the proper engine oil and gear lube for your particular engine.
Okay, so before we get started, let me show you the problem that I'm talking about. Let's say you're looking for an oil filter for a 2020 Mercury 75 horsepower four-stroke outboard. You go into Google and you type in what you're looking for. And then here are the results that you would see. So in this case, this first part number ends in 831. This one is K01. This one ends in 104. 830, K01, 830 again, 760. You look down the organic search results, you see Q01. So you see all these different part numbers. And so you're wondering which one of these is correct. And the problem is if you click on the items and you go to the description, okay, so here's the oil filter. There's not enough information here to tell you whether it's right for your particular engine. It can be very frustrating, and you could spend hours trying to figure this out. So in the process that I'm going to show you today, I'm going to help you to figure out which one of those parts is the correct part number or part numbers.
Now, before I show you my process, I want to address any confusion regarding Mercury versus Quicksilver parts. And I'll start by saying they're exactly the same. The only difference is the packaging. The reason they both exist is that Mercury branded parts were only to be distributed by Mercury authorized dealers, whereas Quicksilver items could be more broadly distributed. That's why you sometimes see Quicksilver parts in places like Walmart. The reason this is important to know is because some online merchants only carry one brand or the other. And if they carry both, sometimes the prices are different. So although it's a little extra work, it's a good idea to capture the part numbers for both the Mercury and Quicksilver branded items for the items that you need.
So now I'm going to show you a process I discovered to find the correct part number for the routine maintenance items you need. And the first thing you want to do is you want to go to this Mercury electronic parts catalog. And I'll leave a link to that in my video description. Now, there are other parts catalogs you can go to for various online merchants, but the nice thing about the Mercury parts catalogs, it allows you to enter your serial number to more precisely get to your specific engine. So in this case, I'm going to enter a serial number for a bogus 75 horsepower Mercury four-stroke, and we'll search. And then you can see that there are a number of different engines that came up in the search results. Now I'm looking for a 75 four-stroke, which is this one right here. There's also this one too, but this is a C Pro, which is a commercial engine. So this is the one we want. So I click on that. Okay, so now you can see here's the engine. There's different serial number families. This is the one that pertains to our engine. And you got a lot of different categories of where the various parts are grouped in this catalog. And the first thing you want to do is scroll down and see if you have maintenance kits listed. If you do, you're in luck, because if you have maintenance kits listed, it's going to supply you with most of the part numbers that you're going to need for the routine maintenance. So for example, Here's the oil filter, which ends in 829. So this is, and you can click on that camera icon to see a picture of it. This is a Mercury branded product, 829. That's your oil filter. You've got an inline fuel filter right here. Okay, that's from Quicksilver. That ends in 885Q. And again, by the way, there's 100-hour service kits. There's a 300-hour service kit. A lot of these same items are repeated in each kit. And then the 300-hour kit will obviously have some other things too. For example, you can see your anodes down here. So, okay, so you got an anode down here. And this is the one that would go in your gear case. And you've got an anode kit up here, which would be one that goes on a transit bracket. Now, you might not need anodes. You may not need to replace those very often unless you're in a saltwater environment, but it's there if you need it. The spark plug is also listed. So you got the part number for the Mercury part number for the spark plug. And we're lucky in this case because it also gives the manufacturer information, NGK-ZF-R5F. I'll talk about this a little bit later because oftentimes Mercury doesn't give you the spark plug manufacturer information, and they give you just the part number, and some of the online merchants will not find the spark plug by just the Mercury number. But we've got that here. And then you see this repair kit water pump. Okay, so what that is it's your impeller, but it also has some gaskets and some other things that you could, repair the whole thing. I'll show you a little later how to just get the impeller part alone if you would prefer to have just that. Okay, so this is a scenario where you have a maintenance kit. Okay, you can get a lot of your items that way, but a lot of engines engines or serial number groupings do not have a maintenance kit. So let's go back up here to the top and let's go to some older serial numbers and scroll down the list. And that one's got maintenance kit, so that one's good. And then let's go to the first serial number grouping. And that one does not have a maintenance kit. So you may or may not have a maintenance kit. And so if you do not, then what you're going to need to do is hunt around for the items that you need. Okay, so and the problem is their Mercury is not, these engines have been developed over many years, and the people who have put together these parts catalog and schematics have been different people over many different years, and so there's really not a lot of consistency. So in this particular case, for the 75 horsepower four-stroke, we want to first look for the oil filter. And I happen to know for this particular engine that it's under starter motor. It's right over here, starter motor oil filter sensors. And so you can see a schematic up here. And you can see that here's the image of the oil filter. If you click on that, it'll show you actually, here's the part number 103, which is different than what we saw under the maintenance kit. The maintenance kit gave us a Mercury version of this same part. Okay, so now you got a Quicksilver version here. So that's for the oil filter, fuel filter. But again, this is under starter motor oil filter sensors, but I've seen it under cylinder block, oil system, lots of different categories where the oil filter has been found. The point there is you're going to have to hunt around, and it's going to be different, likely going to be different for the engine that you're looking for. Next, we want to find the fuel filter. The fuel filter in this particular case is under fuel supply systems, hoses, and modules right here. And if you click on that, I happen to know that this is the fuel filter right here, which is the same part number we saw in the maintenance kits. It's 885Q from Quicksilver. Now, this is what they call an inline fuel filter. A lot of engines may have a water separating fuel filter, and if so, you'll have to search for that separately. Spark plugs are oftentimes categorized under ignition. I mean, they're not always, but a lot of times they're under ignition. So here's the image of the spark plug here, and there's the part number. And again, Mercury helped us this time by giving us the manufacturer as well as the model number from the manufacturer. A lot of times they don't give you that. Next, we want to find the impeller. Now, under the maintenance kit, it was a water pump and repair kit. But if we want to just find the impeller, in this case, We could go to, I believe it's gear housing drive shaft. And look down there. Yeah, you can see it right here. It's this guy right here. And so that's just for the impeller part alone. It doesn't include all the other gaskets and things with it. Again, if you want the full kit, you can get that under the maintenance kit. But that's how you just find the impeller. But again, it's could be, this case was under gear housing, drive shaft, but it could be a lot of different places. Anodes could be a bit more challenging because there are multiple anodes oftentimes on engines and they can be in different places. So in this case, I believe it's under gear case. Let's see, where is it? It's under gear case housing drive, same place here, I think. Yeah, so down here, this is the same category, and it's this little guy right here is the one that goes on the gear case. But I know that there's also one down on the transom bracket. So we scroll down here and transom bracket, we look at that. And this is an anode right here as well. Again, the key point here is if you don't have the maintenance kit listed here, you'll have to hunt around to find the different routine maintenance parts that you're looking for. Okay, so once you find your part numbers, the next thing you want to do is check to see whether you have the latest part numbers or whether the part numbers have been superseded because manufacturers often change them. An easy way to do that is to go to some of the more reputable online parts merchants such as PartsView, Leaders RPM, Wholesale Marine, and enter your part number there. So again, I'm going back to our 75 horsepower example. You may recall that I pulled the part number for an oil filter, and I'll just paste it in here. It's this number ends 829. Click on the hourglass. Look through the results. This one has a 12 pack. Here's a single. Let's check that one out. Again, okay, so this has our actually, you always want to confirm that it's showing the correct part number. So it has the 829, but it says supersedes this number that is 104. So that was perhaps a previous part number. So it's a good idea if there are previous part numbers to grab that as well. And you can also oftentimes see that in the case of part view underneath the description. You can see that it says supersedes right down here. So grab that that alternative part number and keep that in your records as well, because that may come in handy when you go to shop. Now, after you have identified your part numbers and maybe some of the, check to see if the part numbers have been superseded, that the next step you want to do is get the alternative Mercury versus Quicksilver part. A lot of times when you go through the Mercury schematic, it only gives you one or the other, only Mercury or Quicksilver. And so you want to get the other one for the reasons I stated in the beginning, which is some places don't carry both brands. I have found a resource that is kind of a cross-reference for Mercury and Quicksilver. And again, I'll include a link to this. It doesn't have all the part numbers, but it has many. And so what you do is you click on the search icon, you paste in your part number. So I'm going to put in the part number for the Mercury oil filter that we found for our 75 horsepower 4-stroke. And you can see it found one item, one match. So we click on that and it takes us to that page. You can see it highlights the item that it found. Now on this diagram, it's not the easiest thing to read, but this first column is the Mercury part number, and the one adjacent to it on to the right is the Quicksilver. So let me expand this a bit. Scroll it down. So here's the part number I entered for the Mercury oil filter, 829, and it shows that the equivalent Quicksilver part is 830. So you want to make sure you grab that number as well. So again, do this for the different part numbers that you may have received, whether it's a Mercury part number or a Quicksilver part number. Go to this cross-reference page, paste it in, search for it. It won't have everything, but it'll have a lot of things, and it'll just help you to get the part number for the other brand. One thing I mentioned earlier is that oftentimes the Mercury parts catalog doesn't give you the manufacturer name and model for the spark plug. So that can make it very difficult to find your spark plug on various online merchants. So if that's the case, what you'll want to do is consult your owner's manual. And if you don't have your owner's manual handy, Oftentimes you can download it from the Mercury Marine website, which is what I'm showing you on this page. And again, I'll include a link to this in the video description. So what you just do is agree, enter in your serial number. So I create a bogus serial number for the 75 horsepower four-stroke, hit continue. And then it's got a few different versions listed. One for 75 through 115 for EFI four-stroke. Then you've got one in French speaking, and then you've got the C Pro one, which is, again, that's going to be a commercial engine. So it's going to be this one here. So you'll download that catalog. And what you want to do here is go to this magnifying glass in the upper right, click on it, put in spark plug, and you'll see it's going to have, in this case, 42 instances of a spark plug. And so you just kind of keep clicking forward until you get to the information that you need. And it's going to be near the front of the owner's manual, so it won't take long. So here we go. Recommend spark plug, and it's got the NGK ZFR5F. So that's where you can grab your spark plug information. Now, while you're at this, in this owner's manual, the next thing you'll want to grab is you'll want to get your oil capacity and gear lube capacity. So on this particular page, you can see gear case lubricant capacity. And it says for the standard gear case, it's 27.1 fluid ounces. And so just again, a quart is all you'll need. So take note of that information. And then if you keep scrolling down, you'll see the engine oil capacity with oil filter replacement, 5.2 liters or 5.5 US quarts. And so again, take note of that information as well, because that'll tell you how much gear lube and oil you will need to replace that on your engine.
So I hope you found this information to be helpful to you to find the routine maintenance items that you need for your Mercury Outboard or MerCruiser Sterndrive engine. Frankly, I think it's a bit ridiculous that you got to go through these steps just to identify the basic items that you need. And perhaps someone from Mercury will see this video and do something about it. But in the meantime, the process that I laid out should help save you some time and ensure that you get the correct part numbers for the items that you're looking for. I'd love to hear your thoughts regarding today's video, really in three different areas. First of all, is it just me, or did you too found it difficult or frustrating to identify the correct part numbers? Secondly, was the information that I shared today helpful to you? And then third, perhaps you've identified a better or easier way to identify routine part numbers, apart from just going into a dealer. If so, please share that in the comments section as well. If you liked today's video and you thought it was helpful, please do me a big favor and click on that like button. Also be sure to subscribe to my channel to hear my latest content to help you purchase, equip, and maintain your boat. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you out on the water.